All right, well, let's now bring in Charlotte Duval-Lantoine, a fellow at the Canadian Global Affairs Institute who has written extensively on military culture and gender integration. Charlotte, good to see you. The message we're hearing from the military and the Defense Department today is that we know there's urgent work to do to support victims of sexual assault. We know there's work to do when it comes to fixing the complaint process, and the data that's released today is going to help in that work. We just heard General Carignan point to the fact that more witnesses are intervening when they see something inappropriate. I want to get your reaction to what you saw in these new numbers today.
I find those new numbers staggering. When you have victims of sexual assault in the military double over the past 5 years, we find ourselves in a very serious situation. The numbers range from late 2022 to early 2023. So we find ourselves in a dire situation, and there might be improvement in terms of responding to sexual assault incidents when people are witnessing them. Maybe people are more aware of what is a sexual assault and what is sexual misconduct. But more is happening, and people who report this incident to the chain of command end up facing negative repercussion, and that is a serious problem that we have on our end. Even though there are some tiny room for optimism, the situation is very dire.
And we did hear General Carignan talk about this, those numbers. She says work is continuing on a victim-centric approach. But as you say, the numbers are clear. 2/3 of members who reported a sexual assault to someone in authority said they faced a negative consequence, whether that is bullying or something that impacts their actual career in the military. So what do you take away from those numbers in terms of the military's effort when it comes to actually being focused on victims?
There's a long way to be done in terms of recognizing that the complaint process remains to be improved, but also how do we deal with responding to victims when they come forward? It is something that has yet to be addressed. We've seen that in 2021, there was an internal report within DND saying that there has not been real discussion about balancing innocent until proven guilty and the rights and the needs of the victim, and we still find ourselves in the situation. 2/3 of people signaling sexual assault, not just misconduct, assault, and getting mocked or bullied over this or facing negative repercussion in their career is far too many, and you kind of justify people who do not trust the chain of command and who do not trust coming forward will do something for them and will bring them justice. If we really, really want the things to change, we need to address that first, because right now the military is facing an attrition crisis, and I do not see the situation really improving the matter.
Well, and I was going to ask you about that as well. So let's turn to the issue of recruitment, because just recently we saw the commander of the Royal Canadian Navy on video talking about the challenges not just faced by the Navy, but also the Air Force and the Army when it comes to getting enough people into uniform. So when you see the promise of culture change coming up against the hard data we're seeing today, what is the implication going to be when the military is trying to get more Canadians interested in a career in uniform?
Well, it's difficult to see that those stories are really something that's going to attract people to join the military. But one thing that is really important to emphasize is the fact that the military will never be able to out-recruit the attrition problem that it has. So even though a lot of more effort needs to be done in terms of sharing a positive military story and a positive story of service, there is still the backstory that a lot of people are leaving the military in higher rates that people are entering. And we need to stop the bleeding and addressing those behaviors around sexual misconduct and sexual assault or any form of sexual violence is going to be critical if we want people to stay in the first place.
There has been a push for culture change and making the armed forces a safer environment. That's what the government is saying, and that it is pledging to implement all recommendations made last year by former Supreme Court Justice Louise Arbour. That really is the bulk of the work being done. But when you see the data today, do you think those plans need to be altered?
The thing is that we need to be fully aware that the situation goes beyond what has been done since the Arbour report came out, because the numbers revolve around 2022, and the Arbour report came out in May of 2022. So quite late in the period covered by the survey. We need to think more about the situation as a legacy of Operation Honor and the lack of implementation of the Deschamps report, then I would say accentuated by problems around personnel shortages, budget difficulties, and the pandemic. So we really need to see those problems as more holistic. When it comes to the plan, does it need to be changed? The problem is that the strategy that the military put forward was only finished in June of 2023. So right now, we don't really know what it's being done internally beyond the implementations of the Arbour recommendation. The implementation plan has not been made available even to stakeholders, including myself. So it's very difficult to see where the military is at in terms of pushing forward. But one thing that I'm seeing is quite absent is really about changing the behavior of people when it comes to responding to sexual misconduct. There is no ties to the fight against sexual misconduct with the personnel management system and the personnel evaluation system. And if you want people to change their behavior quickly while tying response to sexual misconduct, whether it's about someone reporting their sexual assault, if we tie that to the evaluation, like did they handle sexual misconduct reports properly, and did they bring towards the victim support? If that is a way towards promotion, towards higher evaluation, you would see a bigger buy-in. Right now, it is not tied together, and that is one gap that the military needs to address right now.
All right, Charlotte Duval-Lantoine, Canadian Global Affairs Institute, thank you so much for your time on this.
Thanks for having me.